All right, guys. Our next guest is making his first appearance on the program. We've spoken to him in person, but not on the official show. He is riding a 3-fight win streak in the UFC's middleweight division. One of the scariest, but also one of the nicest guys in the division. Obviously knocking on the door of a title shot. Jared Cannonier, the killer gorilla himself. Welcome to the program, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. And
Man, we are. Well, I was going to say we're very excited to have you on the show, man, for the first time. So it's a bit of a history-making appearance here. And first of all, we have to find out, how are you feeling? Because we know you had some surgery to fix a torn left pec. How's it feeling right now? And how did the surgery go?
Well, I am officially on the road to recovery. 3 weeks today, post-operation. Started physical therapy last week, so it's going to be a slow process, but, I know I can make it. My therapist, the surgeon, everybody has assured me that I'll be able to make a 100% recovery, so it's just a matter of time now.
I was just wondering, man, I guess we never really found out. How did you tear that pec?
I was training jiu-jitsu. I was at the hotel in Houston before Jones fought Reyes, and I was, trying to get some training in, trying to stay in shape, getting ready for a fight that I thought I had back on this past weekend. But I was passing Ben's guard, and something I do all the time, and I passed his guard, and then I went to activate and get strong to collect him up into side control, and then as I activated my pec, it tore on me. So that's how it happened, doing something I've done a million times.
Unbelievable. You're too strong for your own good, Jared.
I guess that's what it is, right? I was just flexing too hard.
How tough was that for you, man? Like, here you are knocking on the door of a title shot, arguably maybe one fight away, and then this happens. You're in the prime of your career. How tough was that for you? And I know you mentioned at the start of the interview that you will make 100% recovery. Was there a fear in your mind at any point, like, oh man, this could be a pretty big injury? Will I be the same?
I'm definitely aware of the possibility that it could change or alter, or anything like that. Especially at the onset of it, I wasn't too happy, at the moment it happened, but, I had to collect myself and not really focus on the negative. I understood that I just injured myself, and I just had to go into a sort of mode of thinking that, will facilitate healing, I suppose.
Jared, Sorry, I was just going to say, before we go any further, any chance we could get the camera just a little bit further away? I'm pretty sure I saw you wearing a sweet shirt, and I want everybody to see it. Just sort of yeah, perfect. There it is. Yeah. Awesome. Go on.
About right there?
Yeah, that's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
All right. So, it happened, freak accident, but it's all good, Again, my doctors reassured me that I'll be able to make 100% recovery, which is a huge weight off of my chest, So they gave me about 5 to 6 months. And, in the meantime, I'll be working on other things until I can get back in there and train completely. But I'm still in there. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still here. So, it's only, again, hopefully I'll be able to fight once, maybe twice. This year, hopefully. We'll see.
Take us into that. I mean, it must have been an incredibly frustrating few months for you. So take us into it from your perspective, because we've kind of seen it on paper. You were supposed to fight at UFC 248. Obviously, Robert Whittaker had to pull out. He had some very serious personal issues. Then it looked like Darren Till was going to fight. And then, obviously, you tear your pec. Before that, you're back up for another fight, and you have to go through that whole process again. So take us into the whole scenario from the beginning. Take us from when you confirmed to fight Robert Whittaker, and then that fight falls off. How was the process from then on, and what was really happening behind the scenes?
Yeah. So, we're scheduled to fight Rob, and, his whole circumstance unfolded, so he wasn't able to fight. And that's when they, offered me Darren Till, and I accepted immediately. but I guess either he was doing, either Darren was thinking about taking the fight, or doing contract issues, or doing something. Whatever the case was, um, whatever it was, we were waiting for him to say yes. It was like a number of weeks, I think 2-3 weeks prior to the injury. We were waiting for him to say yes, and nothing. And then 2 days after I tear my pec, he comes on, Instagram and Twitter saying, yeah, he's ready to take the fight. Let's do it. So I don't know.
Do you think it was because you tore your pec that he sort of accepted?
I don't know. Maybe he had his agents out there, relaying information, and I don't know. I'm not going to speculate or anything like that. But it was kind of funny the way it happened. 2 days after I tear my pec, he accepts the fight. So, he waited a little too bit, waited a little too long. So.
What about, I mean, you broke it down for us, but take us into your mindset. I mean, that must be an incredibly frustrating time. Like Casper mentioned, you're in the prime of your career. You're training for a guy that you don't know is going to be signing on the dotted line, and then the injury happens. What was your mentality like, and how did you sort of keep going through it all? A lot of people would be so frustrated having to deal with this kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't get, I'm not driven by my emotions. So as frustrating as the situation may be, I may have gotten a little frustrated, but I didn't really dwell on the frustration too long. Again, I felt that dread, and I felt the sting of the injury bug at the moment of the injury. But later on that day, I went to the fights, and I got to watch John Jones and Reyes fight. So I wasn't sitting there dwelling on the boo-boo that I have. I knew that I was going to get taken care of. I knew that I was able to get it healed or repaired, whether it required surgery or anything. It was just a matter of figuring out what was wrong and what to do next at that point. So no, I didn't really dwell on it, get frustrated by it or anything like that. As frustrating as it was, and every time somebody found out about it, they relived that same dread all over again. And that's not something that I want. I don't want to have to experience this all over again, over and over, and be reminded of how bad a situation it is. Because for me, it's just, I don't, I can see the silver lining out of it. You know what I'm saying? Now I have a lot of time to sit here and work on my mental game, work on and think about other things that I can work on, watch it from the outside and see what type of, and apply it to my game, apply it to the experiences that I've already had. So, there's ways I can benefit from it. As shitty a situation as it is, I would have loved to have fought this past weekend. Again, as shitty as the situation it is what it is. I am not going to sit here and dwell on how shitty it is. I'm going to dwell on how can I benefit from it. And I think that's hard for a lot of people to do, take a situation like this and say, this is what I'm going to do to benefit from it. They usually figure that out in hindsight. But I want to be, I like the way Israel says it. He says, I'm player one. You know what I'm saying? He said, I'm the one with the controller in my hand. I guess you can say the way I want to approach my life and my experiences is sort of the same way. I want to be completely present for it, see it from many different perspectives, not just from the driver's seat, you know what I'm saying? Even though I'm just sitting in the driver's seat physically, I want to be able to use my mind and my imagination to be able to experience it from different perspectives. So that way, you'd be able to gain double, triple, maybe even quadruple the amount of knowledge and experience you can gain from one instance in time.
Well, it's very motivational, man. Just quickly on Darren, you and him have a bit of an interesting relationship. I don't know what you guys are outside of what we've seen on social media, but he likes to sort of comment on your Instagram from time to time, and he likes to kind of do he likes to keep bringing up the fact that the nickname is on the line if you guys do fight. What do you make of this relationship that you guys have on social and this kind of nickname versus nickname perception that he likes to put out if you guys get it on?
I think I was the killer gorilla before he was the gorilla, so he can kiss my ass about changing names and stuff like that. On top of that, you know what I'm saying, before if he needs that for motivation, he can have that. He can do that himself. play out the scenario however he needs to. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, a fight's a fight. You know, names are just words.
Mm.
So what we're fighting for is something bigger than the name, I feel. You know, we're trying to get that title, trying to cement whatever name you want to, whatever name I choose for you guys to call me, cement that there in legacy or in history or whatever, however the hell they say it. Lord, would you move? So, but Darren is a funny guy on the social media. You know, I don't really do the social media too much. You won't see me posting and doing any most of that. You know what I'm saying? Most during fight week, I do some posting and, you know, for what's the thing called? Sponsorships and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do posting, but yeah, Darren, he be on the social media posting and saying Jared ? I guess I don't know what that means. You know, Jared ? Jared what? What's the question? Like, do I want to fight? You know what I'm saying? I already said yes. So now you're gonna have to wait.
Mm.
But Darren likes to troll people, is what they do. I guess that's what the kids are doing nowadays on the social media. They're trolling everybody, just doing something completely ignorant and stupid, saying whatever comes to mind, which is usually something stupid or ignorant to get a rise out of people, a reaction out of people. But I'm a grown ass man. You know, I'm gonna sit here and laugh at the dumb shit and acknowledge the real shit.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't see me acknowledging any of that dumb shit. So.
I'm wondering how you sort of, you know, potentially saw yourself matching up with Darren or that fight going, and is he still the guy that you want upon your return?
Yes, I would definitely like to fight. I'll fight any of them that will give me a title shot, right?
Mm.
It doesn't matter who it is. Everybody's saying nobody's calling out Yoel. I said anybody ahead of me who gets me a title shot. Anybody includes Yoel, includes what's the other guy's name? Anybody ahead of me that gets me a title shot, or anybody behind me that will give me a title shot. One fight, then a title shot, because I'm beating anybody they put in front of me. So I want the title shot. Everybody feels like if you're not saying you want the title shot, you're not on social media crying about a title shot, then you don't want a title shot. It's like, look, man, if my job is to fight in the UFC, what am I doing here if it ain't for the title?
Mm.
You know, I ain't no journeyman. You know, I'm the best there is. So, if I guess if you guys want to hear it, you know, I want the title shot. You know, I'm not fighting these guys for peanuts. Shit, I want the bag,
Mm.
the big one, and I'll take the little one too. So.
Would you say? I mean, silver linings. When you look at silver linings with the injury, do you think it's a good thing that you weren't a backup for this fight? I mean, Yoel made weight, the fight went ahead, and it would have been the second time you would have had to be a backup for a fight, which I'm sure is super draining because you're not making sort of the money that you would normally fighting. So is that sort of one of the silver linings, not having to be the backup for a fight where you wouldn't have ultimately gotten it?
I don't mind being the backup. Again, I don't drain myself to cut weight. I'm not depleting my body to make weight. You know, I don't know how those other guys are making weight, but I'm not depleting my body. You know what I'm saying? I'm not suffering to make weight. You know, so I'll take, you know, a couple of dozen. You know, I'll take some bread to make weight. Easy, that's easy money to me. Just make weight, and then I get to watch fights for free. I get flown out here for free. All this shit is right off my taxes. I was happy to be in that position. On top of that, my face is right there next to whoever's fighting for the title. You know what I'm saying? My face is right there, so everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, he just backed up for him," and then it must mean he's next in line. Essentially, that says that he's next in line. You know what I'm saying? If he's ready right then and there, if nobody else is, that means he's next in line. You know, I know given the situation with Costa, it makes it a little intriguing, if you will, but I've said it before. I feel like I'm more deserving of a title than anybody in the top 10 in the middleweight division, for that matter. Again, like I said, I'm not sitting here crying and complaining and you know, and barking like the loudest dog behind the fence. You know, I'm getting out and I'm biting people. You know what I'm saying? So That's just it. I'm just having fun, man.
Mm.
I'm just having fun, and again, it's only a matter of time. So, and and I'm going to enjoy the journey until I get to the top.
Absolutely. Got to get your thoughts, Jared, on the main event at UFC 248. Obviously, Israel Adesanya getting the win over Romero, but the fight coming under a lot of criticism. What did you think when you saw that one?
I thought what we saw happen was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a little bit more exciting, but what we saw happen, what happened was what I thought was going to happen. Is what I said was going to happen. I said that if we see Romero do what Romero has done in his last couple of fights, which is back away, wait around, and stand in front of his opponent and try to explode at the perfect moment, then Izzy's going to be able to snipe him from afar, pick him apart, and run his game, right? Okay, bell rings, ref says come out, go. Yoel stands in the middle of the ring for over a minute, right? Doesn't move. So, and at the same time, Izzy didn't really go for the kill. You know what I'm saying? So here's how if I were to call that fight, I would say this is how it won. Izzy was successful in retaining his title, and Yoel didn't do much of anything to take the title, to win the title. So if you ask me who won the fight, that would be my reply. Izzy did enough to retain the title. I'm not gonna say he won that fight, even though technically he won that fight. But again, I'll say he did enough to retain the title. And that's kind of like what he was saying at the end. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do what I gotta do. It wasn't all pleasing to the casual fan. Pleasingly aesthetic to the fan. You know what these guys want to see. They got beer. Spewing out of the fucking nostrils, and they're ready to fight whoever's next to them and fuck the person behind them. And then, so and that's why I can respect what happened that night. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't sitting there booing. I was sitting there intrigued. Of course, I'm potentially one of their guys' opponents.
Yeah.
So I'm watching with a more keen eye. But everybody else was upset, felt disappointed. But me being a martial arts, I understand that this type of thing can happen. You know what I'm saying? Again, I was just downloading every bit, all 5 rounds. I was downloading every little bit of that right there, and I feel like I'm a better fighter after watching those 2 fights.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I feel that's how it went down. Izzy did enough to retain his title, so congratulations to him. Yoel did what I thought he was going to do. Sit back and wait for that big moment. And to be honest, when he did explode, exploded at the perfect time. When he exploded, Izzy had nothing for him. He couldn't do nothing but get the hell out of there. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck away. He wasn't even trying to counter. You know what I'm saying? Or anything. Most guys, he's trying to counter. He'll counter you while they're on while his opponent's on the way in. He's trying to counter, and after he moves out, he's trying to counter. He wasn't doing none of that when Yoel was exploding, doing his thing. So, people, you can say that they respected each other too much, or they employed a little too much caution. Yeah, to the fans' detriment, but not to mine.
I'm wondering, like you mentioned how you downloaded a lot of data. How different do you think a fight would be had you been in the position Yoel Romero was and you were the one facing Israel? And also, I'm wondering, what do you think about this relationship? I don't know if you have a relationship with Israel, but he's always been very, very praiseworthy of you. And he believes the fight between you and him, 2 black men, main eventing for the belt, is very important for the history and the culture of the sport. What do you make of that?
He said that when
he did. He said that to us. Yeah, we got receipts.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, you're the first people I heard, in reference to it being two black men.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few different thoughts on that. But it's again, like I said, coming from a striker at his level who's been doing it at the level he's been doing it in. I've watched his career since before he was in the UFC. I've learned from watching his highlight videos, from watching his fights and stuff. So from my perspective, I have an appreciation for guys who contribute to the martial arts. I don't want to say culture, but, to that thing called martial arts, right? He's contributed that he's contributed to martial arts, and I've taken from that. With that being said, it's high praise coming from a guy like that. He's definitely recognized what I've done and definitely sees potential in what I can do. Especially if he's saying that, he sees us having a good fight for the title one day. That means he knows exactly what I know. I'm going to get my shot at the title, So, I appreciate that. As far as the black man thing, I've heard, for one thing, I've caught flack for my name. People, liken it to Mandingo era fighting. So, some people try to introduce a little stain to the name in that regard, but that was nowhere near my consciousness when I was thinking about the name. My name is in awe and in admiration for a gorilla. Purely for a gorilla. And kill a gorilla sounds cool, so you know how we do. It's sports and entertainment, so I might as well look cool at the same time while I'm getting my message across. I lost track of what I was saying, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because there's so much respect between both of you, Jared. We saw what happened with Yoel Romero and Israel Adesanya, and you mentioned how you learned so much from watching that fight. I guess the big question a lot of people would have is, if you were in there instead of Yoel Romero, how do you think that fight would go down? How do you think a Jared Cannonier versus Israel Adesanya fight goes in your mind, especially after seeing that fight that we saw this past weekend?
Yeah. Well, again, I employ a different style, So my goal, my whole prerogative in the fight is to do damage be the most effective, being the most efficient while employing maximum effectiveness and power, So, and I also employ tactic. I'm not going to sit and wait. I may sit and wait. I like to employ psychology. It's not just physical for me. It's mental as well. And then it's spiritual as well for me. Personally, it's spiritual for me. And then that translates down through my mental into my physical. So who knows how that fight will go. But again, after watching the last fight, seeing how Izzy does his thing, and seeing how he, how he tries to manipulate his opponent in his fights. I think I don't think that would work too well against me. I think I'll be able to download that real quickly and be able to adjust to that very quickly in the fight. At that point, we would see him making his adjustments, because I know he's going to make some adjustments. And then it's going to be a very technical, it's going to be very high stakes, because when I swing, I do damage. My goal is to do as much damage, with the least amount of effort, So it's going to be a beautiful thing. I know that much. And actually, when I debuted at middleweight, me and him, we actually met backstage because he had just fought Derek Brunson. And he was back there doing, his post-fight media stuff, taking pictures and doing all that stuff. And I was making my rounds after doing my fight. So I had introduced him, I saw him. So I was already kind of ecstatic to see him after I had just watched his fight. After watching his entrance, you guys saw how he entered the fight, into the cage in that fight. And then, I drew energy from that, people said I imitated him, but they don't know how dogs act. So, but if you go back and watch that, I entered in a response to the way he entered, to send a message, not only to him, but to whoever, anybody in the middleweight division, But yeah, we introduced ourselves backstage, I introduced myself to him, and, I fanned out a little bit. I want to let you know I'm a big fan of yours, man. I've been watching you for a long time, and I'm excited to see you here in the UFC and all that, all that shit. And, he said he didn't see my fight, but he was respectful and stuff like that. And he said that he said something. He said I can't remember how the conversation goes, but he said that we'll meet. Essentially he was sizing me up, saying that we'll fight, because he was trying. I guess at that point he was ready to fight everybody. So
yeah.
But yeah, he said, we'll meet. I'm like, okay, yeah. Well, let's take a picture then, Come here, let's take a picture. Let's seal the deal, essentially, in my mind is what I said. But we took our picture, and then, parted ways at that point, and that was the beginning of my MMA, my middleweight debut, and we saw what happened with him after that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, nothing but respect to the man. I'm happy to see him doing his thing. I love seeing him put on for the people. You know what I'm saying? I can't express my love, appreciation, gratitude for that specifically. He's doing it in a very righteous manner. You know what I'm saying? So I have nothing but respect. We don't have to antagonize anybody or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's all about greatness. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's great in their own way. And I just love seeing our greatness shine like that. So hats off to the man, and I look forward to our fight.
Well, there you go, guys. How can you really top that, Jared? It's been such a pleasure chatting to you today. Obviously, follow the man on Twitter and Instagram at Killer Gorilla MMA. I feel like this is the first of many appearances and first of many chats, and we really appreciate your time, man. So thank you so much. I know you mentioned around 5 to 6 months, and obviously Darren Till is still the fight that you want to see when you do return. So we look forward to obviously watching your recovery, and then especially coming back into the octagon.
Yeah, I should be back. I should be cleared to fight, beginning fall time, end of summertime. So you guys are going to see me back again this year. If not Darren Till, I would definitely love to get that fight again with Robert. Again, he's one of those guys who are up there who's going to give me a title shot after we do our thing. So I would still like that fight. Hopefully his situations have ironed out and everybody came out okay out of that situation. So So yeah, that's about it.
Looking forward to seeing you back in there, man. Thank you so much for your time, Chad. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you guys later.